the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and taking us back. In other words, we're going back as a country and going back to slavery. Okay, so in this unfiltered, truth packed episode, Broker J3 and myself are going to discuss Donald Trump's attempt and his attack. He's attempting to abolish the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and he's attacking the 1964 Civil Rights Act. He wants to erase Black history. He's removing Black art, or has removed Black art from museums, and he's targeting immigrants. So it's immigrants now. Once you are able to do what you want with one race, guess what? It may filter down to Black Americans. So we're going to highlight how Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. fought to enforce the Civil Rights Act. And just think about it, people. People actually died for the Civil Rights Act. And we're going to talk about how his legacy is being undermined today and try to wipe everything completely out. We're going to take a look at some real life scenarios, which we often try to do. We're going to do some shout outs, which we like to do that because we're so thankful that you guys are joining us. Hey, Tremor73, we got user, you got a lot of digits there. And we also have Gregory Francis. So this episode can be messy and it can be sensitive, but it's something that needs to be discussed. And it's essential because when you know what's going on in the United States, then you can prepare yourself. So we are going to talk about it at length, and we're so thankful, Alice T, that you joined us. Trishana, Phyllis Tucker, thank you for joining us. We also have Arunda Moore. Thank you for joining us.
Appreciate you guys.
Arunda Moore. Okay, guys, so we're going to be looking at that. The title is Trump's Civil Rights Rollback, Slavery 2.0. We're hoping it don't get us kicked off any platforms. They're erasing us. They're erasing Black America, the history, and that's what's happening.
All right, guys. Welcome again. Thank you so much for joining JMB Live. All right, family. Let's get right into it.
Yes.
Civil Rights Act of 1964 was not just a law. It was a promise. And Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. fought tirelessly to make sure that promise was enforced. Okay? He marched, he organized, he risked everything, including his life, to make America recognize that Black and brown people deserve equality, opportunity, and respect.
Okay. And today what's happening is Trump is quietly, he's moving. You guys got to pay attention. He's moving quietly, undoing some of that work. Rules that protected equal rights, equal access to public facilities. Remember the segregated bathrooms and stuff like that. Education, employment are being dismantled. It's being torn apart. Dr. King fought so hard to see that these laws were enforced. And now it's like we're backtracking. We're going backwards, decades. Not just years, but decades.
Exactly, Dr. B. Now imagine your grandparents, your parents, even Dr. King himself, risking their lives for these protections, and now the doors are being open for discrimination, and to creep back into our schools, workplace, and federal offices. We seeing it happen right now, guys. I mean, it's absolutely a mess. What's going on? As Trump said, it's starting in D.C.
Yeah,
we're gonna start seeing it in a lot of Black and brown cities across the United States. Remember, I was telling you guys before about that martial law. Pay attention, guys.
Yes, and he's really looking at the blue states, and they're looking at where governors are Black. And what surprises me, Broker J3, and I'm hoping I'm going to try my best to stay on topic, y'all, but this is one that this is close to my heart. You got a lot of Black people voted for Trump. And I'm saying to myself now, What were they thinking? They should be asking themselves, what was I thinking? But guess what? I'm going to give you a scenario. Just think about a young black person walking into a federal building. Say, for instance, you apply for a federal job. Before, civil rights law guaranteed equal treatment. But now, if these rollbacks continue, they could face policies that can make them feel second class. So think about this, guys. This is why it's urgent to know your rights and to fight to preserve them. Dr. King's legacy isn't just history, it's a living fight that we're going to have to continue. I know until I'm on this earth. I'm hoping things get better by the time my grandchildren become adults. But guys, I don't see anything in improvement right now, at least for the next 4 years. So we're going to talk about it.
All right, guys, let's talk about this erasing Black history. All right, schools, museums, they're being targeted. You know, Black history, we already know, is being removed from the classroom. You know, they're literally removing everything that pertains to Black accomplishments, everything. The Black arts, is being pulled from federal museums. We're not even going to talk about what Trump did, moving Obama's picture,
Oh yeah,
out of sight, so when the public come to the White House, they can't even see
see
his
his
picture at
picture.
all.
Yeah,
Now,
and that's gonna be gone pretty soon.
Yeah,
They're
I
gonna
know.
move it out of there
Yeah.
completely.
Dr.
Okay.
King knew that education and culture were critical tools for equality. Now that knowledge is basically being erased altogether.
Completely gone. Completely gone. Thank you, Country Cowboy, for joining us. The Vovo. Thank you for joining us. We also have Majestic. Thank you for joining us as well. So, guys, just imagine that a 12-year-old student who has never learned, some of us have children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews that are 12 years old. They'll never learn about Dr. King, Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, or the civil rights movement. They'll grow up unaware of the struggle that our ancestors made and the sacrifices that gave them the right that they enjoy today. That's what's happening in some districts right now. And it hit where it hit first, your state,
Exactly.
Florida.
Well, my home state rather. But nonetheless, let's get into another scenario about this. Okay. A local library removed books on civil rights leaders. Administrators say it's non-controversial or neutral, but what they're really doing is erasing the truth. Now think about it. When you take away, that information out of the books, out of the libraries, the young folks can't go reference anything in regards to Black history because they're removing it altogether. Shout out to Tanya in Detroit. She said schools are already limited Black history lessons. Jamal in Dallas, he's fighting to preserve civil rights education in his district. Hey, way to go. Keep standing up, family. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, guys. So you want to, if you are in an area, especially if you're an educator, and you see this happening in your school district, then what you want to do is stand up. Now, I'm not saying it's going to do any good, but you have to stand up for what's right. Our children deserve to know the truth about Black history. Even the other nationalities deserve to know the truth because then they can appreciate who we are. Okay, guys. So now we're going to talk about the immigrants and alligator Alcatraz. Okay, so Dr. King fought for justice beyond race. He was for everybody. It
Yes,
was
he
just
was.
Black people.
Yes.
He believed in equality for everyone, including immigrants. But if you look at Trump's current policies, they're tearing families apart, separating children from parents, and keeping them in dangerous conditions.
Yeah, and it's sad because, we just joked about it. Florida is my home state where I was born and raised. And, it's amazing personal story. One of the reasons why I left Florida after school was because of the fact that even back then in the mid 80s, a young Black man such as myself, was having issues finding a good job, and it's amazing how times have changed and it seemed like we're still there. Think about this, guys, real quick. I joke about it all the time, but seriously, think about this. When I was 14 years old, got my first job, I was making $3.35 an hour. Right now, in the state of Georgia, where I currently live, the minimum wage is $7.25. So you're telling me in 40 years,
Mm.
the minimum wage has barely went up $4, but yet the cost of everything in life has increased substantially. It just doesn't make sense,
It doesn't.
you know. And now what they got going on that's really so disturbing is this alligator Alcatraz is what Doc B was just talking about down there in Florida.
Yeah.
Now they're claiming that it's for these immigrants that have committed all these crimes, but what they're doing is they're taking immigrants. Period. If you're an immigrant and you can't produce your papers when they come in, when ICE comes to grab you up, you're going to be taken there, to alligator Alcatraz, which is ridiculous. When does it get to the point where you take people, strip them of their civil rights, and put them in a situation where if they step out of line, alligators can attack them?
Mm-hmm.
The conditions was already bad when they showed it on TV, when they showed the flooding. So why they got people there now? It just doesn't make sense. They call it one detention center, alligator Alcatraz. Kids are trapped in fences off the swamps. Seriously, this is not just policy. This is trauma, guys. Dr. King marched for human dignity. How would he react to this today if he seen something like this?
I mentioned earlier that he's turning over in his grave because of what he worked so hard for. They are trying to reverse everything that he worked for and everything that he believed in. Okay, so we're going to give you another scenario. Say, for instance, you're a father and you're seeking a better life in America, because that's what a lot of people do. They came to America to get away from being tortured. Some women were being raped just for a better life, and they took their children away from them. They just got here and they took their children away. The psychological impact this will last forever. This is why civil rights protection must be defended across every community. It doesn't matter black, white, brown, or whatever it is. It needs to be. We need to defend those rights because, as we're discussing, it's them now, but guess what? It might be us later.
And it's a damn shame, that a felon, convicted felon in the White House, have the nerve to want to talk about these criminals, and he's the main criminal right now that's running this country. It's a damn shame.
Mm-hmm. And particularly, not getting off the subject, but in Washington, D.C., he wants to arrest all of the criminals. And I'm saying to myself, arrest yourself. You should be the first one arrested.
He should be the first one arrested.
1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Exactly.
Somebody need to call the police on him.
Start there first.
Okay, that's how I feel now, personally. Okay, guys. So this is why I said we need to start defending everybody's rights, not just the immigrants.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, so family, this is not about an abstract. It's real lives that are being affected here, and history shows that silence will only allow the injustice to grow. Just like they allowed him to take over the National Guard in Washington, D.C. Why somebody's not saying anything? They know that it's wrong. It's not an emergency. The crime is not up in Washington, D.C. As a matter of fact, they have statistics that show that it's decreasing.
30-year low.
Yeah, but they're allowing him to do it. Nobody's doing anything, guys. So let's talk about it.
Before we move on, let's talk about that, Doc B. When society as a whole allows the convicted felon president to be able to lie to you and tell you, hey, I'm doing this because this is going on, and statistics show this is not the case, but nobody's standing up and saying, hey, this is not what's going on. Now, we do have a lot of Democrats that's out there that's really trying to push that narrative and say, hey, these are lies.
Mm-hmm.
Even the mayor of the city saying that these are lies. But nothing is happening. No Republicans, none of them have backbones to say, hey, these crimes, you said that DC worse crimes than Colombia and all these other countries out there, which is a damn lie. But yet we are allowing this criminal to be able to tell us anything. And don't say something that totally negates what he's trying to do, because you know what he'll do? He'll fire you. Yeah. Don't use those kind of numbers. Don't put the numbers up about the jobs unless you go through the White House first, because we want to make sure that our puffed up numbers make more sense to the people.
Yeah, yeah.
Ridiculous.
What I feel like is they dare go against what he's saying, and I just don't understand. It's like they don't have no backbone. It's just and it goes beyond being terrified because of the fact that how can you live with yourself if you know that he's doing something that's wrong that's going to harm people? I don't see how they can live with it. I don't care nothing about pad in my pocket because guess what? You might not even live long enough to spend that money.
Exactly.
Okay, guys, so let's move on and let's talk about what's next.
So who's next? Trump has targeted the immigrants and our civil rights. So what's next? Is it going to be women's voting rights? Because see, a lot of y'all may not remember, especially some of y'all younger folks. See, when King was fighting for voter rights, he wasn't just fighting for voter rights for the black and brown people. You know who couldn't vote back in the day either? Women. Yeah, let's talk about that. Black and brown community. Dr. King worked to show that rights are interconnected. Removing one protection and the others fall like dominoes.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Trump is thinking because he's going to affect the immigrants now, and then it's probably going to be Black Americans next, guys. So you might as well get ready for it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen at once. It's happening gradually. It's happening behind the scenes. See, if you're not careful, you're going to wake up and things are just going to be changed. And some of you are going to say, well, darn, I didn't know that. You got to know what's going on.
Yeah.
First, go ahead, Bro.
Yeah, because he's attacking all communities. Now, you guys really, really have to really pay attention to this. I mean, seriously. It's not just the immigrants that's coming over, like Doc B said. It's going to be the blacks. Mm-hmm. It's going to be the browns, and then you guys understand he's already attacking the communities like the LBGT community. He's already attacking those. He's coming at them real hard. If after a while, the way Trump wants to see it, he just wants to see an all-white male control the United States like it used to a long time ago.
When we were slaves. Exactly. Okay, guys. So it's not going to happen at once. First, a few lessons are removed from the school, just like they've done already. Next, the history curriculum is going to be completely altered. Kids are going to grow up knowing that leaders who fought for their rights, they're not going to know who they are. And that's why awareness and action are critical right now. You have to know what's going on. So another scenario, guys, is just think about it. In your district, the school board removing lessons on Dr. King, Rosa Parks, and Harriet Tubman. By the time your kids graduate from high school, they've been taught a history that never included Black resilience, Black resistance, how Black people fought to be free, or leadership. They're not going to know any of that. And that's sad. That's really sad because I knew my history lessons were enriched with that type of history.
Exactly, because once you start removing all the accomplishments that Black folks have made, whether it was the inventions, the music, the culture, or whatever, once you start removing that, see these young kids like our grandkids, they're less than 5 years old. Some of them a little older, whatever, but they're gonna grow up, graduate. And they're not going to know anything about Dr. King, Rosa Parks. They're not going to know anything about that. And in fact, when you talk about it, they're going to think that whatever they was taught in school, that's what it was. Mm-hmm. Because think about it now, Dr. B. Here we are at the age we are, and we realize now that a lot of stuff that they taught us in school was lies.
Yeah.
And one of the main ones, which a lot of you guys know about already, is Christopher Columbus. You know what he told us? He discovered America. Mm-hmm. But yet, we found out he really didn't discover America, but you know what? He still has a day on the calendar. He still has a day.
Yeah, and another thing, even this is simple, guys. Cow's milk. A lot of people grew up thinking cow's milk is good for you, but in actuality, it's not. So, in other words, what you're being taught in the schools, that's what you're going to believe because that's all you know. So that's why we have to fight for our Black history. Okay. Now, shout out to all of our listeners. We thank you guys for joining us. We have Black Jose. We have King. Thank you for joining us. Loyalty in New York. Thank you, New York in the house. So shout out to all of our listeners.
King, what's up with you? You always got to come in with laughter. You talking about I'm dressed up like Prince. Hey, I got a style too now.
Okay,
King.
yeah, he's the one that gave me the compliment last night. Thank you, King. Thank you for showing up for us. But shout out to all of our listeners in New York, Miami, Philadelphia, and Atlanta.
Hey, the A-Town.
Yes, protect your community, guys. Go out and attend those meetings, those Board of Education meetings, and speak up, guys. Let your voice be heard. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the domino effect. Erasing one right leads to erasing others. And we've been talking about that. We gradually slipped into this particular topic. So we're going to go a little bit deeper, okay?
Right, let's do that.
Okay, so rights vanish quietly. That's what's happening now because they're starting gradually, one piece at a time. Books removed. Yeah, they're removing the books. Protections weakened. Lessons rewritten to omit Black people. Dr. King fought not just for the laws, but for enforcement. Without enforcement, the law is meaningless, guys.
That's right, guys. And you guys ever notice they have those little maze things that they have set up with the dominoes? You know what happens when you push that one domino? They all fall.
Yeah.
Black history, civil rights,
Yeah.
immigrant protection, and the rest, they all fall.
Mm-hmm.
Once one right is erased, it's easier to erase the next.
Yes, it is.
This is the real threat to Dr. King's legacy.
Yes, it is, guys. So let's take a look at the local libraries that we have now, because I take my grands, and I grew up visiting a library quite often, and I do that now just to get away because I can go and don't have all of the distractions at home. But say, for instance, they remove all of the books about Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, and Dr. King. Next year, the Black history shelves disappear.
Mm.
Okay, kids grow up thinking their leaders never existed. Just imagine a world 20 years from now, if it keeps going at the pace it's going now, they're going to be asking, your descendants, who is Dr. King? Your great great grandchildren or whatever. Who is Dr. King? Who is Rosa Parks? I've never heard of them. Now that would be amazing. They will be completely erased. Okay, guys. So, and once the truth is erased, guess what? The next generation can't fight for rights that they don't even know existed.
No.
How can you fight for something you don't even know what it is? And so I got to thinking about that. And I said, now that is just terrible. Dr. King fought for civil rights. He endured so much, even really gave his life for it because he ended up getting assassinated. But what he had to go through in the years he had to go through to fight for our rights. And here they are want to strip them away.
Exactly. I see. Hey, appreciate you joining New York. I got a glance at the screen to notice that you asked where are we guys from. Since you just joined us, you missed me mentioning earlier that I am from Florida. I'm from Miami, Florida, but currently I'm living in the state of Georgia.
Okay.
So just to let you know.
Yes, thank you, guys. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Dub21, for joining us. We've got a lot of people on this evening, and we thank you. Please drop your state in the comment section or anything that's pertaining to this topic that you want to share with the group. We are now available on several different platforms. We're on Instagram. I think we're on Facebook, and we're on Bigo Live and YouTube. So drop us a comment and let us know. Hey, Pastor Green, how are you doing? Let us know how you feel about what's happening with the United States as far as how we're reverting, we're going backwards, guys.
Exactly. That's why we're sounding the alarm today, guys, because, don't assume that this doesn't affect you or your family, because you know what? It really does. It starts off simple, like initially, hey, it's just the Latinos, this ain't got nothing to do with us, but again, like Dr. B said earlier, after they did what they gonna do with the Latinos, guess who's next, guys? We're next. You gotta keep it. Yeah, think about this. What you guys really don't understand either, especially some of you younger folks. At one time, the majority was white, and then we was next, and then it was the Latinos, Asians, so forth. But the Latinos had surpassed the African Americans in this country. So after the whites, then it's the Latinos, then it's us, then it's Asians, so forth. So after they take care of them Latinos, guess who next in line, guys?
Yeah.
Come on now.
because it's all about power and racism. That they're intertwined, and they want to remain in power, in control. They can't be in control when they are the minority. They want to be the majority. So that's why the immigrants have to go first, and then the Black Americans, and then the Asians, and so on. So that's what's happening. That's why else you think people can just come over here for free?
Well, they said by 2060.
Some people anyway.
By 2060, United States will be predominantly a black and brown country. So that's what they're trying to prevent. That's why they're targeting the black and brown people, because they do not want America to turn into a black and brown country.
Exactly.
All right.
All right, Kelly Clark, thank you for joining us. Hey, Thomas Jones, thank you for joining
us. We'll follow everybody that joined us and decided to follow us, to follow JMB Live. We always ask that you guys go over to our YouTube page. Make sure you guys subscribe. That's where all of our content is. So, New York, we will follow you back.
Okay, and send us a like, a heart. Let us know where you're from, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and definitely share this with someone. Share this with particularly educators. Let people know who are concerned about what's going on in their particular district or with Black history in general.
Well, thank you guys for the guys that have sent gifts. We appreciate it.
Yes.
Continue to do so, because it helps this content go a long way.
Okay.
All right, let's give a final thought to the podcast today.
Yeah, and then we're going to do a call to action as well. So, Dr. King's work was never complete because we're still constantly fighting this battle. It's just sad that you are treated differently. There's still racism out there. A lot of people said, no, it's not. Yes, it is. It's still racism. I don't know. I'm in the South, so of course I'm experiencing it. But, not just in the South. You got some in the Northeast, and it may be in other countries. I'm just familiar with what's on the East Coast. We have to continue to fight. Attend your school board meetings, support Black art and history programs. Some people even just decide to just support Black businesses. And I like to do that from time to time because of the fact that we have to lift each other up. We're the only race that don't support each other sometimes. Everybody else is supporting within their race. We need to start supporting each other. Speak out online and vote in every single election. Even if you don't know the people, you need to get out and vote. Do your research on who's running. Protect your children's future and the truth of our history.
Exactly, Dr. B. And remember, one voice can start a movement. Me and Doc B know that, because when we started J&B Live, we realized it wasn't just a podcast, it was a movement. So, don't wait, okay? Stand up right now. You have a voice and it can be heard. Let's preserve our rights. Let's honor Dr. King's legacy. And remember, his legacy wasn't just for Black and brown folks, people. Yeah. Keep that in mind. Yeah. And make your voice heard, online, at the ballot box, and in your community.
And shout out to New York. He said that I met.
I don't know, he or she. We don't know who they are.
Well, I just said that's correct. He or she said, I met Malcolm X at his house in East Elkhart, Queens, when I was a kid. That is an honor. Oh God, that's exciting. And thank you for sharing that with the group.
Yeah, we really appreciate that. The amazing time to be able to meet such a great man.
Yes, it is.
Especially during that time in your life.
Yes, that is. And thank you, Country Cowboy, for joining us. This is just a Houdini, a final shout out. We've got Antoinette. Thank you for joining us as well. We hope you guys have enjoyed this topic. This is one, like I said, is just close to my heart because I don't want to go backwards. I want to go forward as an individual, as a race, as a group of people who've worked so hard for what we have now, and then you're taking it away from us. And then we have people that died for our rights, our civil rights, and we don't want those rights taken away.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So, guys, as Dr. B said earlier, share this episode. Post it on your social media. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. We're pretty much on all social media. Fanbase, Lemonade. X. Threads. We're out there, guys. And also, for you guys that don't always have time to be able to to catch us on YouTube or maybe on some of the other video platforms. We know a lot of you guys listen to podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, Pandora, Amazon Music, so forth. Just look for JMB Live Podcast. We'll be right there, guys. You'll see Doc B and myself right there. So make sure you follow us on those platforms to be able to catch all the content. So when you're driving to work or driving home from work, you get a chance to check out some of our episodes.
And you know what? We just got something from New York. He wants to know if we could set up a live panel, and that's something we're definitely going to get into in the future. If you don't mind, can he make communication with us some kind of way?
What you can do, New York, if you've already followed us, we will follow you back and we'll send a DM because actually within the next week or two, we're going to actually start season 2.
Yes,
season 2 of JB Live.
Yes,
so it's been a great blessing. And season 2, we're going to actually start doing live panel discussions. So we were glad to be able to have you join us on one of those discussions in the future. So definitely make sure that you are following us. We'll follow you back
and subscribe. And so if any of you others are interested in being one of our panel guests, go ahead and subscribe
to YouTube. Subscribe to our
YouTube channel, and that's where we're gonna send that out about the panel. So we would love to have some of you guys to join us and be a guest on our panel. Okay, that's a wonderful idea, and that's something that we've already talked about, and we've discussed it, and we did a little bit with it, but we're going to take it a step further in season 2.
All right, guys. So remember this: spread the truth, keep our history and rights alive. Yes, okay, guys.
Yes.
All right, guys. I'm your boy, your uncle, your best friend, Broker J3,
your prince. And I am your girl, Dr. B, your auntie. Call me whatever. Thank you guys for joining us. And again,
let's talk about it.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you guys.